We're in Sounds Delicious Studios, and I'm Paul, and this is Four Eyed Waterboy, Martin Bergs.
G'day.
And today he's put out a
Today's
video,
release day.
of There. See?
There, see, I did it.
There. See? Martin's been working on his songs for, when did we start?
It's a couple of years.
Been a few years
2
now?
years. Something like that.
Came in for guitar lessons,
Yeah,
walked out with an EP.
yeah.
Didn't even know, did you know you were a songwriter when you came in?
I thought I had a few songs that might be worth something, and I was scared to death when I was playing them for you. And then I thought, actually, I've done 17 sketches.
Yeah.
That's, there's going to be something in there. And then, Paul working on them with me sent me to click track training for some months so I could get the timing right, and gave me a lot more space for my lyrics. Everything started to fall together, and we picked some songs, and now I've got an EP.
Lyrics. Stories. There's some. I find that I love working with people that aren't like, when you're sort of starting out, or when you kind of have this open kind of approach to things, and anything's kind of possible. And I love the way that you're not writing songs because you're trying to impress anyone. You're not writing songs because you want people to like you.
No.
You're not writing songs because you want to make a hit.
No.
You're writing songs because you feel like they're stories that need to be told.
And it's a place that I've got control over what I'm doing without having to negotiate with anybody to publish anything. After a career of negotiating everything and compromising almost everything, songwriting was something that I could do.
Can you tell us about Four Eyed Waterboy? There's a bit of a hidden, what's it called? Cryptic. There's a cryptic meaning.
35 years in natural resource management, most of it managing things to do with water resources. So desal plants, pipelines for irrigation water, pipelines for recycling water, stormwater harvesting and reuse.
Is this private sector, government?
Mostly government, but some private sector. I did work in the mining industry for a little while in my early career, and that had a lot to do with water, because in WA water's scarce, so you've got to get the most out of what little water you've got. So flocculation trials to try and reclaim water from tailings dams and the like. So there's water in there all the way along, and
so big money.
Big money,
very big.
Very
it
big
must
money.
be stressful as hell.
Yeah, it's stressful when you're in the frame for it, and there's other people in the frame for it as well, but they just get angrier at you if things don't go well. I think the biggest amount we had to administer in my little team, one year we had $230 million to administer, and we got rid of 180 of it for the contracts. I thought that was pretty good, but apparently it wasn't.
Wasn't good enough?
It wasn't good enough.
Oh, man.
So I changed a few things with the systems thereafter, and every year after that I got within 7% of the target amount. So that was better.
Where on that journey did you start making music?
Oh, look, every Monday night I used to go to a little musical group. There was ukuleles and flutes and guitars and a few different instruments would show up. There'd be a double bass, and play with a group of people every Monday night, like very eclectic group of people. Sometimes it'd be 3 people, sometimes it'd be 23 people, and we'd just play cover versions and play together, and every now and then a few original songs. And if you wrote a song, like, everybody would, have a crack at it. So, that's probably where it started, and I'd had over the years like little song ideas in my head that I've stuck in a box and eventually pulled them out and put them together. I've still got a lot of those. Some of them will never see the light of day, and rightly so. But there's plenty of them that have got potential still, and it was better than watching TV or doom scrolling to pick up a guitar and scratch around on a piece of paper instead of typing stuff. and having to have everything with the I's dotted and, 100% correct all the time, like you are in those jobs where, you get crucified for a typographical error, or a decimal point mistake. Honestly, the drama that goes on sometimes for minor mistakes.
Mm.
Um,
I empathise.
yeah.
I don't think I ever do anything correctly. It's always got some
It's
little
al-
warp
Well,
in it
there
somewhere.
always is. Like, even when you think it's perfect, you give it to, 100%, you give it to your most junior staff member and they will dead set just find something straight away. So it's better to have a team working on things like that. Yeah, the more you look at it, the less you see.
That's a good. So, well, I've got you.
Yeah.
Correct my
Yeah.
social media
Yeah.
posts. I'm very grateful for that. Let's talk about songs on your EP. So where did it start? We started with the single "I'm Drowning,"
Yeah.
which came out late last year.
Yeah, well, I'm Drowning was like the last one I wrote, and I wrote it fairly quickly, which is rare. Like most of my songs, they take quite a while to formulate, but that one came out in like a couple of days. I was sitting downstairs. My partner Sabrina had just been diagnosed with breast cancer. COVID had just hit. My money was all of a sudden worth a lot less than it was a few weeks before. I had a lot to do all the time with everything going on, and I wrote this song, I'm Drowning, and I thought at the end of it, writing this song helped me not drown.
Yeah, it's like it's a healing process.
And just commenting a bit about living in the city where I don't anymore, and part of the reason I didn't want to live in the city was just becoming too overcrowded. I mean, bit of crowd's all right, but living near the Princess Highway where I grew up, I mean, it's going to affect your health. There's so much traffic, so much pollution from them. Yeah, so
everything's. I think though, there's something about that song that really resonates, because I think the more as time goes on, and there's just more people on the planet and less money, and the space gets filled up. And I'm very lucky that we're in regional South Coast New South Wales now, just near Jervis Bay, and it's amazing.
It's idyllic.
We're so lucky here.
It's not like trying to keep your head above water like you are when you're in the city and it costs you $5 every time you turn around.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think there's something about that resonates. Just there just seems to be this pressure building on everyone on a global level, I think, and that song really kind of says that
massive,
to me.
Because I remember living in Perth in my early career after growing up in Sydney, and I felt like even way back then that in Perth you had 3 things to do in the day, and they were all done by 11 o'clock, and you could go lobster fishing. Whereas in Sydney you had 10 things to do and you never got any of them done.
Yeah, I'm sure you resemble that remark.
And Sydney was a lot easier to live in way back then. I'm not disclosing how old I am.
That's all right. I think that's part of I think that's one of the awesome things about your story is that you're putting out your first EP at 58.
58, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and it rocks. You have a perspective. Like there's a perspective in your wisdom. I think that comes through in your songwriter that you're not going to get from a 20-year-old. And like, I think there's something really great about your journey and the path you've been on, and that it's got to this point, and that it's like it's fearless. I think the songwriting is really fearless as well, which is something I really respect. It's part of what drew me to it as well. And like, tell me about I Remember, because this is the one that I was kind of like, it was like being punched in the face.
It's a scary song.
It is scary, and I was, it's triggering. I think it's really controversial, but at the same time, I feel like it needs to be said. Like it needs to be kind of talked about. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I felt, do I even have a right to write about it? Really, if kid I grew up with sort of fell prey to a pedophile, and I can still remember the discussions that we had as kids at that age about what was happening to this guy. He ended up in jail and has not had a really great time. One of my other friends also spent a lot of time in the police force as a senior officer, and had to face that Ellis defence, numerous times in trying to get prosecutions, which is where, no previous case can be brought in as I guess, additional evidence for any new case. And you can see there's a legal point to it, but, over and over again it becomes pretty sapping for people. And it was sort of at the time that, that senior Catholic cleric from Australia was having a difficult time in the courts as well. And then just in the institutional abuse of children was being exposed in the Royal Commission, and it just seemed to be like scouts, schools, anywhere that there were kids, and it was just.
But a lot of the attention is on the perpetrator, and the victims are kind of. Everyone goes, "Oh, those poor people," but I think your song really draws attention to that.
The key thing, I think I haven't mentioned yet, was that driving along one day, I was listening to an interview, and it was of an abuse survivor and his ex-partner talking about the impact on their lives, and their relationship didn't survive. But this guy said that to this day, as an older adult, he could still not clean his teeth he couldn't clean his teeth, because he still felt such shame at what had happened to his mouth all of those years ago.
Yeah.
Like really deeply disturbing stuff. And I had to stop the car because I cried. It was really tough to hear,
Well, there's an aggression in that song as well, and there's like
I'm pretty cranky about it.
Yeah, I know, but you can feel that, and I feel like that's I just feel like there's something that needs to be said. I'm sure there's going to be people that it offends, and I'm sure there's people are going to be upset by it, and are going to say that, I don't know, whatever they want to say about it. But I stand by you for saying that's a really important message.
I wrote a song, and
it's art.
That's that.
At the end of the day.
If you don't like it, that's okay.
That's true. Zombie Death Song. One of my favourites on the album.
I had a few bad times. Nothing as bad as the previous discussion, but had a few ups and downs, and zombie movies were sort of like quite comforting, because you could just walk in and out, and you never really had any mystery what was happening. You could tell where you were in the plot. They're pretty much all the same. The zombies are already dead, so you don't have to feel sorry for them, as they get slaughtered.
What's your favourite zombie movie?
Oh, jeez. Probably Zombieland is pretty good, the funny one.
Is that the Quentin Tarantino one?
No, that's the Woody.
That's Dust Till Dawn.
That's pretty good. The Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson, is he? The guy that was in Cheers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
He's a great actor.
Yeah.
I like him.
I love all the Walking Dead stuff.
28 Days is my favourite.
28 Days and then 28 Days Later.
They're both great, aren't they?
Yeah, they're terrific movies. And then there was one that some other really famous actor was in. It was pretty recent.
Well, there's Dawn of the Dead. That's one of the classics.
Yeah, that's a great one too.
But you're right. They do all have the kind of similar.
Yeah, the only thing that really changes is the speed of the zombies. When they get fast, you're in real trouble.
Oh, yeah, what was the one? There was one that had fast zombies that were running. Oh, it had Brad Pitt in it.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. What was that one called? Generation
Z or something like that.
Something Z.
Yeah, that was a good one.
They're all
good.
But
there's a lot of them that are pretty forgettable.
But it's a bit like, for me, it's a bit like sci-fi. Sometimes the bad ones are just as entertaining.
They are. Well, they are when you're trying to do other things around the house, and they're just on, and they've sort of got a mood to them, and I found them really comforting, So, but the song's about being a minor character, because that minor characters in zombie movies have a very limited future. Their prospects are poor, and I think about if you're getting that as an acting job, like how many zombie movies would you have to be in before you could pay the rent with your 30-second bit,
That's my specialty.
This is my specialty, yeah.
I'm a specialist, like extra in zombie movies.
And then, actually, a friend of a friend who's Austrian actually ended up being a German soldier zombie in some European zombie movie.
Wow.
And I thought, he got paid a few hundred euros. He's pretty happy with it.
Well, I don't know if there's ever been a song about zombie movies, let alone one that kind of like distills them all into like 5 minutes of song about zombie movies. But I know that there's a lot of people out there that absolutely like.
Oh yes,
It's like such an important genre.
Yeah.
I reckon.
yeah. Even Iggy Pop's been in a zombie movie now.
He's like he is like in a zombie movie all the time.
Yeah,
Him and Keith Richards.
yeah. Still going.
Yeah. Let's go. What's the other one? What's the quiet one called again? I forgot.
Dark River.
Dark River.
Yeah.
Tell us the story behind
It's
that.
a bit about depression, and I did have a partner that suffered terrible depression, and it's just the ripple effect of it. Like it's not contained to that person really. All the family suffers, the partners suffer, and it just seemed like you fall into this river, and because of the water theme, I'm thinking about drowned river valleys, and and in these rivers like the Hawkesbury River, sometimes there are these really deep holes, they're like 90 metres deep, and there's really different fish live in them, and it's really dark, there's not a lot of oxygen, not much movement in the water, and feel like, depression, you fall into this place really quickly, and then it's really hard to get out. You go down fast, and then it takes a long time to claw your way out. And I guess the perspective's being the observer on that, and then having the depression sort of leak into you, and then you're really contemplating what your future is because you've lost the person that you love to this terrible disease, and it is a disease. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, it's the same as being wounded, like as if you break your arm or cut yourself or have lose a limb.
Yeah, yeah.
Like but you just can't see it.
People say things to you like, "Oh, you should eat more salmon." You think, that's not going to help.
So is it something that's been has affected you?
Oh yeah. But I mean, to some extent, but certainly there's a lot of people that suffer a lot worse than I did. Mine was from external circumstances, not something that I was born with. So I was able to work myself through it with some help, some family and friends, and an awful lot of lap swimming. Physical activity.
You found a way.
And routine, like just routines, like making sure you do the dishes. You get small, like perceptible measures of happiness from completing the smallest task. And even at a time when, you're just looking at a bit of paper on the ground and thinking, that piece of paper could be there for the entire rest of my life. The chances of me picking that piece of paper up off the ground are fucking zero. I can't even move.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, trying to live off microwave meals because you can't really physically have the energy to cook. Stuff like that. So yeah,
well, it's something that's
not great times.
It's firstly, I don't think you're sort of downplaying your own experience, and I think I'm sure there's always people out there that maybe have it worse or maybe are more affected by it, but I don't think it diminishes anyone's what anyone's feeling.
No,
but it must be. I can imagine. Like I've dealt with depression a bit myself, and I've only been sort of self-diagnosed, and I don't even know if I haven't really been treated for it. But it's everyone is touched by it at some time in their life. Just I don't know if anyone hasn't.
No, you get it in the end somewhere, sometime. I think if you don't, you're pretty lucky. I was living in one room, like I had, like trying to still function, and like I had all the rooms in the house were like clean and neat and tidy, but the door's shut. Because I just lived on a mattress in the lounge room, because it was all I could really manage, was like to get home from work and just lie on the mattress, and then just pretty much stay there, microwave something, eat it, lie on the ground, and then try and get through the next day. But then if anybody came round, like you'd hide the mattress and open up the doors so everything sort of looked normal, and people wouldn't know, And then I remember going to this doctor eventually. And he said, "You can stop fighting, my friend. You lost. You need to start again. I admire your fighting spirit, but."
So what would you say to yourself if you could teleport yourself back to that version of you, and what would be a bit of advice you'd give him? You'd give you.
Oh, gee, probably get help quicker.
Good.
Get help sooner. Yeah. But it's hard to see, you know, you don't really know that you've gone down quite so far as you've gone down, like, you know, because it creeps, you know, and you think, oh, that's all right, and then, oh, that's all right, and I'm not doing this anymore, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, because you stop seeing people, you stop sort of doing things you enjoy, but you make excuses for it. So, yeah, probably getting help quicker would be the...
And there are things like there's Lifeline, and you can
there's heaps more
text
things.
message, and there's Beyond Blue,
Yeah.
and there's a bunch of facilities that are there for people. But
Yeah.
at what point do you do that? Like, how does someone know if they're even in trouble in the first place, or why? You know, sometimes that can be the thing. It's like you just cope in different ways. Like
Sometimes I think people go through their whole life and they don't even know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And they just ignore it, or just think
and
it's
they don't
like
have people around them like I did that can say to you that you're not right.
Yep.
You know? So, yeah, I'm sure there's lots of people that just, you know, suffer in silence and never really know. You know?
What was the thing that sort of eventually pushed you to actually reach out and get support?
Instability in mood, really, and not being able to trust my own judgment, you know, and losing a lot of weight as well, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, losing weight and really not ever feeling any good. Yeah.
Well, Dark River smashes it, I think, and just another one of your songs that isn't scared to confront what's sometimes a bit of a socially awkward issue.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you just being
not as
open about it and being able to talk
not
about
as
it.
bad now as it was all those years ago. It's much more open now, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You
That
know.
people are a lot more aware of it.
Yeah, like I was away with some friends recently, and one of the guys is not having a great time, and it was much easier to talk about it, you know.
Yeah, well, I think if you've experienced it too, I think that sort of you understand it a bit more, and it gives you a bit, not a qualification, but at least a perspective on what the person's going through.
And there's a government program now where you get Medicare pays for a certain number of psychologist visits.
Yeah, but the list is long.
Yeah, the list is long. It's hard to get in, but nevertheless, it's been recognised. And
yeah, Dark River, Digitize My Soul, went out to radio this week.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun.
It's light. It's compared to the rest of the album. It's
a bit of fun.
It's light, but then it's also like probably one of the gloomiest.
Yeah.
It's also like got this kind of apocalyptic, and with the AI, like with all the like we did this when we did this. It was like AI was this thing. Now I've got AI on my phone, and everyone's got AI. And even when you go on Google now, if you Google something, AI tells you the answer. It's not a Google search anymore. It's changed so quickly.
When I wrote that song, it was sci-fi still, you know, and...
when did you write it, by the way?
Oh, geez. That song's probably maybe 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old.
Yep.
So people were sort of thinking about, you know, melding to machines, and there were a few sci-fi plots like the most recent Battlestar Galactica. The robots were sort of like humans, and so there was, you know, a bit of it around. But I guess the thing for me was that humans want to live forever. You know, we really want to conquer everything, and
uploading consciousness.
Uploading consciousness seems to be the way to do it. And then we've got this track record of hurting each other, and then the planet's got a track record of making extinct pretty much 95% of every animal or plant that's ever existed. So the odds of you surviving in the really long term, like humans have been around for a couple of million years. You know, dinosaurs were around for like 260 million years and didn't make it, except for a few of them stumbled on. But,
if you kind of I always say that I always have this, people that worry about things and go, "Oh, don't do that. You might don't do that, don't ride a bike. You might, or don't ride a motorbike. You're gonna kill yourself." It's like there are so many things that are like that far from killing you all the time. Driving a car is like, yeah, driving a motorbike is dangerous.
You can't get away from geological events.
No, but like there's this website I love called spaceweather.com because sci-fi is my bag. That's one of the reasons I love this song, and it tells you how strong the solar wind is, what the solar flares are doing.
Yeah,
because if we get the full brunt of a solar flare, even it's going to muck things up.
Oh yeah.
It'll knock a lot of stuff out on Earth.
Or the magnetic poles change.
Yeah, or just
like
the core stops spinning and creating the magnetic field that stops the sun's radiation and won't blast our atmosphere away. There's also a little thing on there. It's called today's PHAs, potentially hazardous asteroids.
Yeah.
The number of potentially hazardous asteroids today was 26,400.
Yeah, right.
Like there's all these things of these massive rocks the size of buildings flying past our planet.
And the atmosphere's tiny little thin eggshell.
This little bubble.
Yeah.
And it's like our whole existence is so fragile.
Tenuous.
And here we are like mucking around with it and
if we
cutting down forests and poisoning the seas.
If we don't get off the planet, we're not going to make it in the long term. And that's where that, uploading yourself into a machine and going off into space sort of idea came about. And it was full sci-fi when I wrote that song. But then, one of the billionaires is doing it now. They've got their first chip implanted into somebody's head. Some poor volunteer that thought the $500 would be worth it. I don't think they wouldn't want to be the bleeding edge of that technology.
The stepping back and comparing, like, what will happen if you let humans on like the worst kind of house guest.
Yeah.
We're gonna muck it up. It's just in our nature. We're gonna wreck it. Don't let the humans in. If there's anyone that from outside our solar system watching this,
you don't want us as friends.
Don't be friends with us. We don't even have anything to trade. Really,
hide.
Yeah, probably music. Martin's music. That's probably worth checking out.
There's plenty of good humans, but if you were looking from afar at the moment, you wouldn't be thinking things were too great.
Very true. Thanks for your time. Is that all the songs?
Anxiety.
Anxiety.
Yeah, we've got
Please,
anxiety.
So that kind of ties in a bit with Dark River. It ties in a bit with another one of those things that there's this seems to be like this social epidemic where so many people I know are on anxiety medication.
I'm glad we didn't go straight from depression to anxiety.
Yeah, we got Digitise My Soul in there, a bit of comic relief on the record.
Well, I used to think anxiety was how you felt when you went out to bat in cricket, or you went on a first date, or you were sort of studying for exams, and I never really gave it much thought. I thought, but it was, and then, towards the end of my career, I took a pretty hefty downgrade job just to so my partner and I could be in the same place. It was meant to be like an easy job, and actually it was just a catastrophe, So I got put in charge of all of these things, and I had no power to do anything about them. So, it's classic anxiety sort of circumstances where you're in charge of something and you have no influence or control over it. And it really, really fucking hurt me. So, you could organise work and you get work done and people would do the work and you couldn't get them fucking paid. It didn't matter that you signed off that the work was done. It'd go into this virtual system that virtually never worked. And, and people would be ringing up, and you owe them $50,000 and they've got 5 or 6 employees. They've got to turn over 20 or 30 grand a week to stay in business, or they're insolvent, and they've done this work for you. It's there. They've paid for the materials. And, so I've got empathy for them, because one of the things in my career that I was always good at was getting people paid, keeping their cash flow, changing contracts to suit their circumstances. I did lots of things to get smaller organisations able to do bigger jobs because we could improve their cash flow through, third-party inspection of works and verifications of materials purchased, etc.
But in that, I think there was monster was created, this worm that turned, and I think that's really at the core of your music, and the whole EP has this kind of like fuck you attitude of just like, I'm not just going to say what you want me to say, and I'm not going to play nice.
No,
I'm going to
not
say it
anymore.
exactly how I see it.
Yeah.
And I love that. It takes a lot of courage, and it's been a really great journey to get you to here. Now you are a recording artist.
Yeah.
You're a songwriter. You
Thanks
have an EP there. See,
It's out. It's actually done.
it's done. It's actually released.
People
today.
all around the world can listen to it.
Yep, and they probably will.
They
And the
may.
video clip that's out too.
Yeah.
So you can check it out. And the good news is there's another. You said there's another.
There's another one on the way.
There's more songs.
Yeah. There's another one for next year, and yeah, thanks again to Sounds Delicious Studios for bringing me along,
Well, it's actually.
making me part of the
You know,
family.
it was. I should just remember. This was like a big learning curve for me. I think I'd made a mistake early on in the recording because we had Adrian Herbert on drums.
Yeah.
I was playing bass and played some electric guitar.
Yeah.
And you singing and playing electric, but we're doing it live, so all the drums and bass and the core of what you're hearing. I even think some of the vocals. I remember, especially we
That's
did that.
one
Like
take.
there's this live energy,
Yeah.
and it was just one take that we did it in,
Yeah.
and we captured it. But sonically, when I came to mix it, it was horrible. I did something really horrible, and it sounded. So it actually caused. I had to really like upgrade, and I had to learn. I learned a lot from mixing
Yeah.
this record. It's actually like it was really challenging for me to get it sounding good,
Sounds good. now.
and and it sounds great.
Yeah,
It
it
sounds
does.
great now, and
Yeah.
it doesn't get in the way of the stories. For me, the sonically, everything that's there has to kind of like support the story and
Yeah.
support the song. And if it's getting in the way, then it
Yeah.
shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But I think you did that, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And this is the first time we've done this. I think
Yeah.
Martin's actually also one of the first artists to release through Sounds Delicious Records. There's a few other artists on the label. We have No Longer Movies. There's Calico, which is myself and Ness Quinn. Nick Reinberger, he's put some things out. Hurston Green have got a new album that we're going to be putting out. Gigi and Love Tank, which was one of my first collaborations,
Yeah.
but it was with Gina from Alone.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know when
Yeah.
that's coming out, but it's there.
Esteemed company.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, I think I just want to get some music out there.
Yeah.
Put some that's not trying to be like trying to fit the mold. I just want people to create art
Yeah.
and have a voice.
Can only be yourself.
Yeah, exactly, and stop trying to be something you're not. So,
Like Kevin Welsh said to us, you can only do what you do and just try and do it well. Like,
there you go.
that was a pretty good tip, you know.
That's a
just
very
be
good
true
tip.
to yourself. Otherwise, I think the words was, if you're not doing that, you're dead.
Yeah, pretty much. What's
Yeah.
the point?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your time, and thank you for your honesty as well. It's another form of bravery that I highly respect. So,
There's no other way for me to be.
Four-Eyed Waterboy. It's there. See?
There, see.
My arms don't work. My legs don't work. I can't feel my feet. I'm slipping under. I can't hold my breath. In comes the water. It all costs too much. I can't pay no more. But I could before. I can't no more. I'm drowning in the endless sea. Oh, like you and me. I'm drowning in the endless sea. Made of me. to do that I can't get through. I'm in this traffic jam in my tin can.